Good afternoon, everyone. It's Brenda Quintana here, and I am in my Beehive studio this afternoon, and I am going to be sharing a class with you. And if you want to follow along and make the cards with me, you can. This, of course, is going to be recorded so that you can do this class later on. It involves note cards, and we are going to be making a box for the note cards to go in. So it's a great class that you can do by yourself or grab a friend. You'll need a pack of note cards because I love the note cards because they come already with envelopes, and so you don't have to go making them. So it saves some time to do that. Couple things that we're going to be using, a couple of notes. We are going to be using the Piece of Cake bundle, and let me see, turn this around the right way. It has a matching punch with it. Now, just a little note, this punch is about to go on not orderable status. So if you would love this bundle or this punch sooner rather than later, I would order it today because it won't be available for a while, and I'm not sure how long. Stampin' Up just let us know, because our supplier is from China. It takes a while to get these to us, and right now they're in the Chinese New Year, so things shut down for a few weeks during that time, so everything is delayed getting to us. So this will go on, the punch will go on not orderable status soon, and it will hopefully become available. I'm wanting to think maybe in April, but right now, if you order $50 with Stampin' Up, you get your Stampin' rewards with it. So I would hate for you to, miss out on those rewards because you can order this until April. The stamp set by itself will still be available to order because those are produced with Stampin' Up, and even if it goes on back order, it will be a very, very short back order because they produce these themselves. The other things that we're going to be using, the rectangle stitch framelits. This is also a new product in the Occasions catalog. I love these because they have this double stitching. So they will have stitching on either side of the cut, so you can make a nice frame with it. If you don't have these, you could just use rectangles without the stitching on them, but these look so cute. So if you don't already have these, I recommend getting them. All of the products I'm talking about are available in a shopping list on my blog. If you look down below in the description of this video, there's a link to that. There's a link to my store. There's a link to isn't a link, but there is my host code for the month. If you order $75 with me during the month of January, you get an extra little gift. But the main information, if you ever want any information, go to my blog post because that has like everything, and later on it will also have the video. So if you want to order the products and do the class later on, you will find everything there. And I see a bunch of you joining me now, so thank you so much for joining me today, this afternoon, and doing this card class. What else can I tell you? Oh, we're going to be using Stampin' Blends. They're my favorite coloring tool right now because they're fast and easy and nice and bright. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, okay, so I originally designed this card class around the Gingham Designer Series paper, which I love, but then it went on back order. And I also designed it with the Organdy ribbon pack from Celebration, which went on non-orderable status. So at the end of this video, I will show you the card set that I made with those products, but I'm not going to be posting them right now. I'll maybe post them again once they become available. I love the gingham pack. It's going to be available. It's still orderable, but it's not going to be available until February. And so I decided to use, the 2018-2020 In Color Designer Series paper stack. Also a 6x6 paper stack with lots of great colors in it. I did the cards and the box in a monochromatic design. So you could take any one of these and just switch out the colors of the cakes and the paper and the cardstock, and you'll be able to make a whole bunch of card sets with this. So that's what I love about the 6x6 paper, and I wish I would be using new product, but we'll wait until it becomes available and I'll share with you the design I made. What else do I need to tell you before we get started? I think that's it. Oh, one more thing. I subbed out this white ribbon, also on my supply list, and I used that on all my cards and the box to keep it easy peasy. So I try to keep everything supply-wise nice and easy. Oh, one more thing. You're gonna love this. So when using the Designer Series paper, I did a one-sheet wonder for that. So one of these sheets of paper will make 6 of the note cards, because I have cut it up into 6 pieces, and we use every scrap of that paper to create the 6 note cards. So it's very economical in design. The box cover also uses a piece of paper, and I use just a half sheet of the paper too. So I try to do things very logically so you can make the best use out of each piece of paper. I have a diagram on my blog that shows you how to cut up this piece, but I will cut it up right in front of you for the video. All right, I think that's it. I think we can get started. I'm just gonna clear up my space. I'm going to turn my camera around so you guys can see what I'm doing. And let me know if you have any questions during the video. I will try and answer them right away, but if not, afterwards I'll go back and I will have a look and see if you have any questions. Now, I would love it if you would share this video on your page, because I would love for people to be able to do this class with you or with me. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, I would really, really appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to turn my camera around. Oh, we kind of lost the sun this afternoon, but that's okay. At least it's not so bitterly cold today. We've been having kind of some cold days. Let me get the camera situated. There is my blog, cubiesquest.com. Right now, that blog post will be up at the top, but the best way to get to the specific blog post for this tutorial is just to go into the description of the video and click on that link, because it will take you directly to the blog post and instead of just my blog. Okay, so I just wanted to show you one more time. This is the bundle, the punch, and the set. This set is really great because it's got images and words in it, so you're all set. Everything is good to go in one set. And here is the note card box. And so I love it. It's got little thumb grips. It's 1.5 inches deep, so it's a nice big box. I think it could fit more than 6 cards in it, but 6 cards in it looks nice. So if you wanted to add more, you can, but it's like a nice amount, so it's like not super stuffed. So, and down here are the envelopes that go inside. I lined the inside of my box with just a piece of the same color of cardstock that I'm using for the lid. The dimensions are on my blog. And it's just a nice way to, put those envelopes in, and then you can kind of see some blue in the back. So it makes it kind of look nice. You could also stamp on these envelopes. I didn't do that, but that's always a nice touch as well. Let me show you. Let's close this up. Let me show you the cards. So they've all got that designer series paper on them. Let me make sure they're on the screen. They've got either the rectangle thinlits on them, or on some of them I just used the punch and I didn't use a rectangle thinlit on them. I used ribbon on every single card. And of course I colored with Stampin' Blends. So those are the 6 cards, and I love it because I think there's 6 different cakes. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I used 6 different cakes. I used almost every stamp in the entire stamp set. So that's pretty cool. I don't often get to do that. I think there are a few greetings that I didn't use, but I have a greeting on each one. So some of them could be subbed out if you didn't, you know, like if you didn't like the greeting on this one, you could use the happy birthday greeting. So it's very easy to switch out those greetings if you want to. And thank you so much for everyone who shared the video. All right, so let's do the box first, because I know you guys all like seeing that box. We like 3D things a lot. So let me show you how I did that. Oh, one other thing we're going to do today is I'm going to change up the color scheme because I've already done Blueberry Bushel. We're going to do Lovely Lipstick. So we're going to do the cards in pink, and you can tell me afterwards which colors you like best. Okay, so we're going to need a scoring board, or you can use your Stampin' Trimmer. Your Stampin' Trimmer also has a cutting and scoring blade on it, so you could use your trimmer. I love to score with my scoring board, as some of you know. And so I'm just going to bring this into my camera space. So to start off, we're going to create the lid for the box. So you're going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 7 inches by 8 3/8 inches. These measurements are on my blog, so don't worry about writing them down. They're already up right now, so you can just go in there and grab those dimensions afterwards. So we're going to score this piece. We're going to keep it easy. We're going to score it at the 1.5 inch mark on all 4 sides. It's not easy. 1.5, all 4 sides. Okay, we can set this piece aside, and now I'm going to score the bottom at the same time, just so we don't have to bring the scoring board out twice. So this piece is just slightly smaller than my Lovely Lipstick piece. So this piece measures, let me put it like this, it measures 6 7/8 by 8 1/4 inches. And guess what? We're going to score it at the same 1.5 inch mark. Keep it very easy. 1.5 inch mark on all 4 sides. All right, I think we're done with the scoring board. So now you can cut the tabs for these boxes in one of 2 ways. I'm going to show you both ways so that you can see and understand each way. I'll do the lid of the box on my Stampin' Trimmer. And you might notice on my Stampin' Trimmer, I just took a black Sharpie and I wrote score and cut on my cutting and scoring blades, just so I don't get them mixed up, because I can't keep the light gray and the dark gray colors in my mind very well. So if I have the word on it, I know I'm not going to make a mistake, because I never want to cut where I want to score, because that would be bad. It would be really bad. So I want to make some cuts. So I want to cut on the long side. So we're going to make cuts on that long side only, not on the short side, on the long side. So I'm just going to line this up. I'm just lining up my score line. You could line it up with a particular measurement, but I'm just looking for this crack right here along my score line, and I'm just going to line up that score line along there. Then I'm going to keep this lifted up for a moment, but I'm going to slide my cutting blade over to that first score line that comes across like this, and then I'm going to put this down and I'm going to cut towards the top. So I've just cut my first tab. Then I'm going to keep this lifted up and I'm going to scoot it down to where my other score line is that comes across. And then I'm going to push this down and then I'm going to cut to the edge. So I want you to see I just cut those two pieces. If that's too much for you to like wrap your head around, I'll show you in a minute how you can do the other piece with the scissors. And because these pieces are cut in the same way, hopefully it will make sense. But I'm just cutting them on the trimmer to show you this is the straightest way to possibly cut something, because it is a straight edge cutter and everything's lined up. With scissors you can be pretty precise, but this is just a nice way to do that. So okay, again, I'm moving my cutting blade. I haven't moved this down yet. I'm moving my cutting blade over to that score line that runs like this, and I'm going to cut. And of course I first lined up my score line along the crack here. Then I'm going to lift this up, lift my ruler up, move my cutting blade over to the next score line that runs like this, and then I'm going to push down and cut to the edge. Okay, so now you see I've got the tabs cut on both long sides. I'm going to put this away and let me show you how, grab my scissors, let me show you how with my Whisper White piece how I would do the same thing. So I've got the long side facing me and here's the score line coming up. So I'm just going to cut along the score line just until I hit this first score line that's coming across. And I'm going to do that on the long side along both score lines. So you see, I've got those two cut, then rotate it 180 to get to the other long side, and then just cut along till you hit the score line, and cut along till you hit the score line. Okay, so I've got those two pieces prepped. We want to do one more thing to the lid though. I want to create those little thumb grips. So the way we're going to do that, this is the 3 1/4 inch circle punch. Let me open that up, and I'm going to put it along the long side because it's easier for your hand to grip along the short side than the long side. So you want the thumb grips on what will be the short side of the box. So you need to put the punch on the long side. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're going to be punching along the long side. Okay, so just so you know that. So we made the cuts on the long side, and the punching is going to go on the long side as well. So I'm just going to eyeball this. So we need this punch centered along the long side. So you want to make sure there's about equal cardstock on either side of your punch. You are going to put the punch in just halfway. You can see that. And then you're going to punch it. Okay, so there we've created our little thumb grip. And then we'll come over to the other side. And I'm just depressing the punch just part way, and that grips. You can grip with the punch without punching it yet. So then you can kind of just position it to where you want it. When it's centered, halfway up, then punch it. And now we are ready to assemble the box lid. So just fold it along all the score lines. If you want to, you can take your bone folder and smooth out those folds. Let me make sure I'm in camera range. So that will help you crease those edges so that they are perfectly smooth. Did I get this one? Yeah. Okay, let's do the bottom as well since we're at it. We're kind of doing these both in tandem, one at a time. Keep going around, make sure I'm getting up all of the folds. And box lids and bottoms are pretty foolproof because the way you fold them up, they just fold in together to create the box. Now, my favorite adhesive is Tombow, and I'm sure if you've watched any of my videos, I am a big consumer of Tombow, just for paper crafting, not eating glue or anything else. It is great glue. It's not smelly and it holds really well. And I just want to thank you. I've been seeing a lot of people have shared my videos, so thank you so much for that. So I'm going to just put glue on one of my tabs, and I'm going to fold it in, and I'm just going to hold it in for a moment. And let's do this next tab and adhere it. Each time I'm just making sure to line up that score line with the edge of the cardstock, and I'm just giving it a little push. And let me bring this in. Press, 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 press. And one more time. Need to get this inner one. Okay, so we've got the lid of the box going. Oh, and I have to thank someone, and I don't know your name, but someone on my video, when I did my butterfly box, she said, will this box fit note cards? And I said no, but then I said I'm gonna make a note card box. So I want to thank that person. I'm going to go back to the video and thank her on her comment so much for suggesting this, because I didn't have it was too small for note cards at the time, but I'm like, I can make that into a note card box. So I'm sorry, I should have looked up your name before I did this video, but I'm going to make sure I go back to the butterfly box video and thank you for your suggestion, because that's what prompted me to make this box with the rectangle stitched framelets. So you can see I'm just bringing that box together by putting glue on each of the tabs. I always make sure to line up the corners. All right. And if you're joining me late, no worries. This video will be on my Facebook business page for all time. And I'm also going to grab it and stick it onto YouTube. So eventually my blog post will be the best place to access this video, because it's going to have everything you need all in one place. It's going to have the written measurements. It's going to have the supply list. It's going to have, which we're going to come up in a moment. It's going to have the template for doing the one sheet wonder. So everything will be in one place. So before I finish the lid of the box, let's do the inside of the box. So I've got, where are you? This piece right here. This is a piece of cardstock that measures about 3 3/4 by 5 1/8. It's actually just a little bit bigger, but I didn't want to put down 1/16 of like measurements in the 1/16 inch wise, because I know that's really hard for some of you. So if you cut this 3 3/4 by 5 1/8, it will be a little bit loose inside the bottom of your box. If you cut it just a little bit bigger than that, it will fit just perfectly. Okay, so that's why I don't mind 1/16, but I think some people draw the line at going into that amount of detail. So that's why I didn't go there. But over time, I've gotten really good at measuring things. Look how nicely that fits. It's just a little bit bigger than the measurements I put on my blog. But see, now it's lined on the inside, and this also helps make it a little bit sturdier. Oh, just one thing. I used thick Whisper White for my box bottom, and on my supply list, I listed regular Whisper White, which we're using on the cards because it stamps nicer. But if you're going to do the box bottom, you'll want the thick Whisper White, and that is not on my supply list. I totally forgot that I used the different thicknesses of Whisper White. But once you get this bottom liner in, it makes the box like even more sturdy, which I love. All right, we need to do something with this lid top because it looks pretty blah right now. So I'm going to show you what I did for that. I'm going to bring my Big Shot in. Oh. Okay, let me bring it into about here. Let us create a topper for the box. So the first thing we need is we're going to create a frame for the box that kind of goes around the frame. So the starting piece that you'll need for that frame is a 4" by 5 3/8 inch piece. Okay, and then let me grab the right framelit for that. I think it is not that one. There are a lot of different framelits. Okay, so it is the 3rd largest rectangle stitch framelit. Just double check. Yeah, that is correct. And what I want to do, I've got my magnetic platform here. If you don't have a magnetic platform, don't worry, you can still do this. It's just a little easier for your framelit to stay in place. So I want to do 2 things. One thing I like to do with the stitched rectangle stitch framelits is I like to have them go through the Big Shot on an angle because they wheel through it a lot better. And then the other thing you need to do is you need to center this framelit in the center of this piece, okay? So you want to make sure there's the same amount of white space on all 4 sides. And it's going to go through crooked. You don't want your framelit crooked, just the piece crooked. I hope that makes sense. I've got my second cutting plate on top now, and I'm going to roll this through. If you want to, you can roll it back through the other way. You don't necessarily have to. It will cut through on the first pass. So then I'm just going to peel this off, and you're trying to preserve the frame for this. I don't actually need the centerpiece for this, but you can see this framelit has now cut some stitching all the way around this piece. So that's the first piece we need. And you can reserve this piece and use it on another project. We're not going to be using it for this project. And then we're going to use 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to use the 4th largest framelit. And I said before, I needed a piece of designer series paper that was a half sheet. So I cut this piece to 3 inches by 6 inches. We're not going to be using all 6 inches, but it was just easier to cut it in half first before running it through so I could put it on the diagonal. And I'm going to do the same thing. This pattern, it doesn't matter if it's straight, so just as long as it's somewhere on the pattern. And you're going to want to make sure, again, it goes through on an angle because it cuts so much easier when you do that. And just to show you, I'm going to not run it back through, but now I'm going to carefully remove this piece. So now you have a little extra piece that you can do something with afterwards. And then I'm just going to peel this off. Okay, so this one also has stitching on it on the inside. And now we just need to assemble the card. All right, let's bring the lid back in. And I'm going to use my Tombow again. And I'll just put some Tombow on my frame. Now, when you cut the stitch rectangle framelits, there's a better side. The back side doesn't look as nice as the front side, and you'll definitely see that. So you'll want to make sure you always use the side that looks the nicest. So just make sure when you're grabbing it, you put adhesive on the right side. So one thing, if you want to make sure it sticks down really well, you can turn it back over and then press down to make sure it's sticking really well. Then I want to take this piece of Designer Series paper. I could have done this one, but I kind of like this one for the front of the box. And I'm just going to center this in my frame. I could have totally filled this out, but I wanted to, not only does it look nice to have a little bit of that lovely lipstick peeking out, I also wanted to make it economical. Because I'm using a half sheet of cardstock, now you can use the other half sheet of Designer Series paper for another box top. If I had used this whole piece, filled it all up, then I would have gone over the 3 inches and I wouldn't have been able to get 2 out of 1 sheet. So just always trying to keep in mind how I can best use that Designer Series paper for you. Okay, so for the top, I've already created a little piece that will go on top, and I didn't stamp this one for you because this actually is identical to one of the ones that we use for a card. So I'll show you how to make that when we go through the note cards, but I wanted to have one ready so I didn't have to stamp that twice. So I've already wrapped some ribbon around it and tied it. And now I'm just going to put some Tombow on there and just add this to the front. And there we go. So that is the box lid. And now we've got the box. Okay, and you know what we can do already? I've got the envelopes that I need for this card. We can stick the envelopes in there already so I don't lose them, because I already was trying to find a place to put them. So I just put those in there, and let's just put the box lid on top. So there is the lovely lipstick version of the box. Now let's do the note cards. And let me grab my cheater sheet so that we know what we're actually going to be doing. So we need to cut up this piece of Designer Series paper. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I've got my Stampin' trimmer right here. Let me make sure it is in place. So you're going to start with a 6x6 piece of Designer Series paper. For this particular card layout and design, I think the best patterns are one that's a little bit tone on tone, because if you don't do tone on tone, the image is rather small and you might kind of distract away from the actual image. So it's nice to look for a tone on tone pattern. There's a lot of Designer Series paper now that has one side is a really pretty multicolored image, and then the other side has more of a tone on tone, more of a neutral pattern. So you want to look for one of those. If you only have 12x12 paper, that's okay. Just cut it down so you're starting with a 6x6 piece. Okay, so I'm using both the polka dot side and I'm using the polka dot side, and I'm trying to decide, okay, I need to figure out real quick. I'm cutting this way. This one's going to be this way. Okay. So I'm going to start off with the paper with the lines on it, and I'm going to have them coming down vertically. And I'm going to line up my piece up at the 5-inch mark to start off with. And I'm just going to cut off this piece right here. So cut it down, And so I have, this piece now measures 1 inch by 6 inches. And we're going to cut this in half at the 3-inch mark. Line that up. And cut that in half. So this is going to be 2 pieces. They're the 1 inch by 3 inch pieces for the card. You set those aside. I'll put them like that so you can see how this breaks up. So now I have this piece and I'm going to turn it so that the 6-inch side is up at the top again, and I'm going to now line this up at the 3-inch mark. Okay, and I'm going to cut it in half at the 3-inch mark. So now this piece measures 5 inches by 3 inches. Put one of the 5-inch sides up at the top, and I'm going to line this up now at the 2.5-inch mark and cut it. So now we've got 2 more pieces for our card. And then we're going to take this last piece and we're going to put the 3-inch side up at the top. This piece now measures 3 inches by 5 inches. And we'll put the 3-inch side up at the top, but we're going to line it up with the 1.5-inch mark. Get it in the right spot. And then we'll cut that. So now we have our last 2 pieces together. So on my blog, you'll see a diagram with the measurements for all of these pieces so that you can cut it. And this is how I cut mine up. And so now we're going to make 6 cards out of that. So the note cards and envelopes, they come in this handy dandy little pack of note cards with envelopes. They have the note cards, which are pre-cut and pre-scored, and then the envelopes are in here. I have grabbed some out of a pack that I already had open. So you'll need those, and let's do the stamping next. Because I know that's going to take up some space. So I've got a piece of cardstock here. You don't have to have the same measurements as mine, but just to be economical, to start, we need to stamp and punch some pieces. So this is 8.5 by 1.5 inches. I'm going to start with my cake stand. And the only ink color that I'm using to stamp with is Memento Tuxedo Black. I'm keeping it very easy so that we don't have to do any guesswork on colors. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to stamp 3 cake stands right next to each other. Okay. And then I need to stamp 3 cakes. So I'm just going to turn this around, and I'm going to start off with, let me see, this little guy right here. This is one of the floral cakes, and I'm going to stamp this near the top as well. And then I need the cake that has the drippy icing, and I'm going to stamp that near the top. And then last but not least, I'm going to stamp the cake that has the horizontal stripes going across it. Okay, so the easiest way to do this is to actually grab your Stampin' Blends and color them first, because it's easier to do that before you punch them. So I'll start with the cake stands, and I'm going to use my Smoky Slate Light blend, and I'm just going to come across here. Right now the Smoky Slate Light is on back order, but it will be available again soon. Color suggestions in case you don't want to wait. I would suggest maybe going with the crumb cake as an alternative color, or the light pool party would also work, because often glass has that blue hue to it. So you could do that to make it neutral. Okay, so I just colored those very easily. Then I need to color each of my cakes. So let's start off with my light, this is balmy blue. And I'm just gonna come across here and I'm just gonna hit this cake, just the speckled part, I'm hitting with the light balmy blue. And then I'm going to come back here with my dark balmy blue and do the stripes in the dark. All right, then I want to color my cake. This first one, I'm gonna do the light balmy blue. I'm gonna come along here and I'm just gonna do the top of the cake in the light. I'm gonna leave the bottom white. It's sometimes good to have some white space. There's usually some white on a cake, so it's good to leave it a little bit white. Then I'm gonna come in with my lovely lipstick light, and I'm going to color these little roses on here. There's not a lot of room to do a lot of shading on here, so I'm keeping it very easy, basic, simple, not doing any of that shading. Okay, so now we have to do the drippy cake, and I have to say that the drippy cake is probably the hardest one to color because it's got these little tiny pieces that go up. So it's I just kind of take my bullet tip and kind of aim in between, and I'm trying to not worry about being perfect because no one's probably going to notice anyway the imperfections. So I'm just going to kind of go around the drips first and then come back and blend in the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same for this upper part of the cake. I debated whether or not to color on camera today or not, but I thought this is actually a class, so I wanted you to see the whole thing. So you can fast forward later on through the parts that, you know, you don't need to see again, but some of you might want to see how I brought this all together. So that's why I actually decided I would color everything today instead of worrying about, you know, boring anyone. Okay, so that's the bottom of the cake, and we can stick these aside for a minute. We still will have to do some more stamping on some of the rectangular pieces, but let's go ahead and punch these guys out now. So if I did this right, it will work out perfectly. So I'm going to do my cake stands first, so just keep them in the punch. They are going flying. Okay, one more. Line it up. One more. Okay, and now I need to turn this around, and I'm going to do these lower ones right here. Punch it out. Line it up. I'm being just really picky. I like my pieces really centered if possible. Okay, that looks good. All right. Okay, so I think the easiest way for me to figure this all out is I'm going to take my note cards and I'm going to fold them in half with my bone folder, which I lost. Okay, it's here. And we're going to lay out all of the pieces, and then it will be easy to make those cards. Grab each one of these. And so we have 6 note cards. Let me see. Do we have any questions? Okay. Oh, Anne, you said it went on unorderable status today. I don't think it is on unorderable status, the punch, just so you know. I think it's still available. I checked it a little earlier. So if you want it, I think you can still grab it today if you're talking about the punch. Please go look that up and see before you think that it is not orderable. I think it still is available today. They said yesterday that they were going to, and it was on low inventory status this morning. So I'm hoping it's still available, but I haven't checked since this morning, so maybe it is. But it will be available later, and you can still get the stamp set. So let me put these out in the order that they need to go out in. Some of the cards are horizontal and some of them are vertical, or portrait and landscape. So I'm going to put them out in the order that I did for the picture that I have on my blog, so that it makes sense. So this is card number 1, and I'm just putting out the pieces as they should go. This one's over here, this one's the polka dots. So on some I use the polka dot side, and on some I use the stripey side. So just to change it up a bit, but you could use all polka dots if you like the polka dot side, or all stripes. Okay, and then we're going to need some pieces. So this one, oh, I'm kind of off camera, aren't I? Let me move this out of the way. And let me bring all of this in so you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So I cut some earlier. I went in and I cut some rectangle pieces with those rectangular stitch framelits. I figured you didn't need to see me do that again. The sizes that I used are on my blog, so I'm not going to read them off to you right now, but they're all in this order. I'm going to create them in the same order as I have them on my blog. Okay, so let me see. Okay, and then I'm just going to put the cakes on where they're supposed to go. So where is this cake? Ah, it's right here. And then this drippy cake goes right here. And then this floral cake goes right here. And the cake stands, so that I make sure that I have all those pieces. Oh, and I also stamped one of those little hearts. Here, I'll just do that really quickly. Off the side. So there's a little heart piece that goes on my first card, and this is the little heart stamp. And I just stamped that. And I took my lovely lipstick, and I just came in and I colored my little heart. Okay, and that one does not have a punch or die, so I cut it out earlier. It's right here, so that will be that little piece right there. Okay, so let's finish off card number 1. So I'm just going to put these in order. Let's finish off card number 1. So we need to, for card number 1, we need to have this kind of centered. There's the same amount of white space on the sides and on the top, okay? And then I'm going to take my greeting, which is this one right here. I will stamp it and then you can read what it says. because right now I can't remember what it says. It says, may your love grow sweeter with each passing year. I think that's the one I used. Where are my cards? I want to make sure. Yes, that's the one I used. Okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure I stamped them the same in Lovely Lipstick. So I want to make sure this one is about right about here. Stamping it right here. I need to leave a little space for this piece to come down right there. But before I assemble everything, I need to tie some ribbon. So I've just got some of this. This is the Whisper White sheer ribbon. So I'm just going to take a piece of this and wrap it around. Grab my ribbon scissors. Make sure it is straight on the back, because if it's not straight on the back, it's generally kind of hard. And I want this over on the side over here. I've got, am I on camera? Okay. I got my little tweezers. You know I like to use locking tweezers. So I'm going to tweeze right here, my knot over on the side, and I'm going to just tie this over here on the side. And I can let go of my tweezers. Just pull it a little tighter, and then I can come in and just clip my ribbon a little, see which way it wants to go. Okay. All right, so now I'm ready to adhere this to my card base. And remember, I want it centered, and then the same white space on the top. And I think, do I want it down just a little bit? Now I'm playing with the ribbon. I might not have had this down far enough, so I'm just going to move this down a little bit more. Okay, that's about right where I want it. And then I'm going to take my little Whisper White piece, and I am going to add it right here to the front. And this is kind of a different type of layout I've had before. I had to kind of figure out how I wanted, you know, to create different layouts with the designs that I had. And I kind of like this because it kind of comes down a little bit. It's not centered on the piece or anything. So it looks just a little bit different than a normal layout that I would have. I'm going to take my cake stand and glue it down right about here. And then I'm going to take my cake, add it right here. It's an icy blue cake, but I needed a little bit of contrast because I didn't want to do a pink cake because then I was also going to have a pink heart, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to look good. So I'm just going to put that little heart up there at the top like that. And so there is card number 1. Let's move on to card number 2. So this one, I need to stamp Happy Birthday on it. I need my little polka dot piece. And I'm going to stamp this just about over here on the side. And then I'm going to take these little, they look kind of like lollipops, or maybe they're some sort of cake decoration. And I'm just going to add them to the top. I like how I can see through the stamps, so I can get that really nice and close. And then I've got my Happy Birthday. And I elected to put this on a bigger block than, let me show you, one of these skinny blocks, because I was having trouble lining it up. Sometimes the edge of the block yours where you're going to stamp. So by having a bigger block, I can see better where I need to line things up. So I've got my happy birthday on there, and I kind of want it lined up with the bottom of my birthday cake, so it's kind of right down there at the bottom. And so to finish off this cake, I'm going to use the lovely lipstick again. So for this, you're going to need to kind of come around and do the polka dots. The polka dots in this case, I decided were white. So you could do it so that it's white with pink polka dots. You could do that. But I don't know, I decided I was gonna color around all those polka dots. Insane person that I am. I know, sometimes I'm like, my coloring decisions. Afterwards, I'm like, it would have been easier to color the polka dots than go around the polka dots, but oh well. This is the way I did it, and now I'm going to have to live with it. So I'm gonna just color those stripes. And then I'm just gonna kind of randomly dot this. You could actually pick exactly where you want it to stamp, but I found just by randomly dotting it, it makes it look like there are those, you know, those swirled popsicles, or not popsicles, lollipops. So I just did that. All right, now you get to see me tie ribbon again, yay. If I had been more on the ball, I would have done some of these pieces earlier, but I wanted to cut the paper for you on camera because I thought that was kind of more useful. I just turned that over to make sure that my ribbon was straight on the back side. And then I'm going to tie this. Probably the most time-consuming part of this whole thing is actually tying the ribbon. So I'm going to use my little clamping tweezers, locking tweezers, and I'll just lock that down like that, and then tie my ribbon. So much easier to tie when you've got it clamped down. Okay, make sure it doesn't bow out. And then I can come in and trim that. The floor of my craft room, it looks really bad right now because I've been working really hard. Okay, so I want that again centered on all three sides. So I'm just going to add some Tombow to the back. Not too much, but just enough, just a light layer. And then I'm going to add that right there on the card, and then I can come in with this layer and just add that right here. Ooh, I like this one. It's neat to see these come out because I did them in the Blueberry Bushel and I haven't actually seen them in Lovely Lipstick yet, and I think I did a pretty good job of choosing like the monochromatic look that will work well with different colors. So, okay. Okay, so let me move on to card number 3. This one I think will be easier because there's not a lot to it. So, but I do not need to stamp that greeting down at the bottom. And this one has a two-parter greeting. Cake is the answer, and I think this is, who cares what the question is. Okay, back to my piece. I am putting this piece of designer series paper out here so that I can line it up, and so that's going to help me do the greeting. So I'm going to stamp the bottom part of this greeting first. I'm going to use a very light touch because this is a very detailed greeting. And cake is the answer. Goes right on top of that. right. So now we can go ahead and add this little piece of designer series paper. That's Tombow. And I'm just going to add that right about here. Then I'll come in with my cake stand. This one kind of reminds me like it's like sitting on a table. The cake stand, you know, it's a little table, kind of. And then add the cake. And this one I felt like it just needed a little something up at the top, and I wasn't sure what it was. But then of course I added the ribbon. So I did tie this bow earlier. So I'm just going to add it to the top of the cake with a mini glue dot. Let me grab my paper piercing tool. I'm going to grab a glue dot. I'm going to stick it right at the top of my cake. Push it over just a bit. Now I'm going to stick my knot right down on that mini glue dot. So you can see how that in person it looks cuter too, but it's got a little bit of depth and dimension up at the top, so that helps balance out because it's bottom heavy on this card. So I think that kind of turned out cute too. Angle cutting the ends makes it look just a little nicer there. So that looks a little better. Okay, card number 3. Let's do card number 4. Card number 4 is this one. And okay, for this one, I can glue that bottom piece on. So let's go ahead and do that. This is, I'm going to be using the polka dot pattern on the front. Oh, don't clog up on me now. We've got 2 more cards to go after this. 2 more cards. Gotta get through them. Okay, so this one, it's about 1/2 inch from the bottom. Then I'm gluing this. Okay, and now we need to stamp this little piece. This is a kind of like a little wedding cake. So I've got that stamp. I've got the floral topper, and I've got the Mr. and Mrs. Let me grab the Memento ink again. And need to kind of add this like maybe right about there. I'm using like a light touch because there's a lot of detail on the stamp, and I don't want to smush it too much. Sometimes with the photopolymer, if you have a little stamp and you smush it too much, it gets too much ink on it. Okay, so again, this is a very light stamp, so we're just gonna add that, just gentle, wiggle it just a little bit. All right, now we're gonna come in with the Mr. and Mrs. and I want that kind of right beside the cake, like that. Okay, so now we can color this, and I'm just gonna use for the one I did in blue. Where's the one I did in blue? I kind of just added blue. So I'm going to try this out and just see how it looks just with lovely lipstick. So I'm just going to come in and just do the roses. Everything that looks like a rose, I'm going to come in and color in lovely lipstick. And we'll see how that looks. And if we don't like it, then we can add some blue, and I'm going to add the green leaves too, so they will be added in a second. Okay, let's see how it looks after I add the leaves, and I'm going to use Granny Apple Green, the dark, so everything that's a leaf is going to get some green. There's a bit of green everywhere. Oh, I like it already. I think it looks much better once I've added a little bit of green to it. There's a little bit of green. Oh, and right there. Okay. Yeah, you know what? I kind of want to do this little top one. And lovely lipstick too. I like that. And I missed a little piece right here. No, I am not a perfectionist. All right. Okay, that looks pretty good. I like how that turned out. Oh, and we have to tie some ribbon. Let's do the ribbon first. So I just need a bit to go around here and make sure it is not twisted, because twisted ribbon does not sit well when the card is closed. So I'm going to bring it around and clamp it. You know, one thing, when you do something many times, you get better at it. So I don't typically like tying ribbon on camera because it can be kind of time consuming, but I've gotten better. This is my third time tying a piece of ribbon, and I've gotten better at it. So practice does make things go better. So let me just make sure that is straight. Now we can add this onto here. Maybe bring it down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. All right. Got 2 more to go after this. And then I'm going to put them all side by side and we can see which colors we like better. There we go. All right, card number 4 in the books. All right, on to card number 5. This is, oh, I like this one. So this one, we need to put this piece on. And I use the stripe side on this one. And I'm just going to put this like maybe about 1/2 inch, 3/8 of an inch from the fold of the card. And then we need to stamp this piece. And this actually is the piece that I used on the front of the card as well, because most of the cards in here are happy birthday cards. So that's why I chose to do a happy birthday theme on the front of the card as well. So I'm just gonna see, oh, and I need one more stamp. I need the little candles. Okay, and my ink pad. So we want to start off with the cake stand. We want it fairly close to the bottom, maybe about 1/2 inch from the bottom. And then we'll come in with the happy birthday cake and just hovering it over the cake stand. And then the candles going right on top of that. Okay, move those out of the way. Oh, I hit my stand. Now again, we'll do the stand. The cake stand is in Smoky Slate. I'm doing a really quick job of this. And we'll come in and we'll do Lovely Lipstick. Okay, and I'm also going to do Lovely Lipstick for the top. I use the lighter Lovely Lipstick because the darker one I think would have been too dark for the words and you wouldn't have been able to see them very well. So that's why I chose the lighter Lovely Lipstick. And I'm just coming in and doing the candles with the bullet point. And then I've got my, this is Pineapple Punch. So I'm going to use the light brush tip and I'm going to go right over the flames of the candles and I'm going to go really big. Okay. So it's like more of a glow for that first pass. And then I'm going to take, yeah, I want the bullet tip for my dark. And I'm going to go over each of the flames with my dark to darken out the center. So So that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to take a piece of ribbon one more time. I'm just kind of measuring out how much I need approximately. It's lined up at the back, no twisty twisties. And let's come and do that first knot. I want it to come right where the cake stand is at its narrowest point. And then I'm going to come through, tie the knot like that. So what are you guys doing this weekend? I don't even know what I'm doing this weekend. I don't know, maybe we'll watch a movie tomorrow night. We're always so busy. We need to take time and just relax sometimes. What are you guys doing this weekend? Inspire me. Inspire me to do something else besides just crafting. Oh, I am going to my knitting group. It's like a knitting, crocheting, needlepoint group at the library. I do that every weekend on Saturdays. Nice bunch of ladies there. So I'm just going to kind of somewhat center this. Might not quite be centered, but you can see kind of my placement right there. That is card number 5. All right, card number 6. Card number 6, we just need to glue and stamp. So I'm just going to line this up. When I'm stamping on a note card, and everything else is going to kind of be pieces that I stick on it, what I do is I kind of line everything up. Where's the ribbon going on there? Okay, I see. I kind of line everything up first, and I do my stamping of my greeting, because if I mess up my greeting, I might need to grab a new note card. So let's hope this last note card I won't mess it up and have to use a new note card. Okay, where is my greeting? This one is Happy Birthday, You Sweet Thing. So I want to stamp it so it's kind of level with the bottom of my cake stand. So that is my goal, is to kind of somewhat get it so it's like right about there. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, so now I need to pick up these pieces. And I do need to add a ribbon, but let's glue this on here first, because I'm so happy that I didn't mess it up. All right, and I'm going to put this right about there, kind of centered from top to bottom. Is there enough room? Yeah. So I want to add a little bit of ribbon to this cake stand, and guess what? I'm just going to tie it around the cake stand. You could also tie a knot and then use a glue dot to tie this to the cake stand, or to add it to the cake stand. But oh, I decided I would make it more difficult and actually tie around the cake stand. Yes, I did. I thought that would be a great idea. Which it isn't too bad, but it is a little bit more fiddly maybe than just using a glue dot. Okay. Well, that didn't turn out too bad or take too long. So let me just cut off. I used probably a lot of ribbon to do it though. See, look it. Isn't that cute? I love that. Okay, so now we just need to add some glue to the cake stand. So I found ingenious ways to add the ribbon to each of these cards. So, you know, this really is a gift set. It has the same continuity of the colors. It has the same continuity of the paper. So it really, like if you make this card set up, it is a really nice gift set. It's, you know, it's all coordinating and it looks good together. Let me grab that and put the cake on like that. There's my last card. Okay, now you need to tell me. I need to put out these cards and you need to tell me which ones you like better. Do we like the blueberry bushel, or do we like Let me line them up so we can see them on camera. Where are my happy birthday ones? Happy birthday. Okay, and then we're gonna do this Mr. and Mrs. So I've got a few of them out already. I might not be able to do all of them. I might be running out of space. Let me see. I think I can do one more of these ones. All right. Okay. I've got them all out. Well, not all. I'm missing. I got 5 of them out. We're missing 2. So what do you think? Now they're crooked. When they're crooked, they're not going to look as good, right? What do you think? Do you like the lovely lipstick ones better or the blueberry bushel ones? All right. You know, I think I do like the blueberry bushel ones a little better. But they will all look nice. Like the pink ones, the lipstick ones look nice too. So it's nice to have the option to do them in the different colors. And I think they would look nice too in the other colors, like the Call Me Clover, Grapefruit Grove, and what's the last one? Pineapple Punch. So I think, you know, or you could mix and match. You know, if you were going to do a bunch of sets, maybe you could mix up the colors a little bit so that they don't have all one monochromatic feel. Like you could do some in the green and some in the pink and, you know, kind of switch them up a little bit. So let's put the 2 boxes out so we can see. Let me grab all the cards and we'll put them inside each of the boxes. Let me grab the blueberry bushel box. And now we can stick those inside box. And then we've got the lovely lipstick box. And stick those inside. There, look at those. Don't they look pretty? I love this stitching. And that's, you know, reflected on the cards as well. So you've kind of got coordination with that. You know, I just love it when I can coordinate everything, right? So it looks good. Oh, and I was going to show you my other cards that I made. They're kind of the same, but the gingham cards. So I didn't finish off the top of this box because as I was creating this box, I was like, I stopped one evening because I didn't quite finish the box. And the next morning, I realized that the gingham gala paper was on a long back order. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to do that to you guys. So I created some cards using the gingham gala. And I used yellow, and yellow is a hard color for me to use. But I think I did a good job. And this is this organdy ribbon. Organza, I think, ribbon that is a celebration item that we can't get right now, but we might be able to get it again in March for a short period of time. And if it becomes available, you need to grab it as soon as possible because it is lovely. Like, it is so lovely as a celebration item. I've got mine here in a little basket and I won't be able to use it for a while because you guys can't get it and I'm kind of sad. Oop. My orange is, my Grapefruit Grove is going to try and take over my Highland Heather, but aren't those colors lovely? So you could do this same thing, monochromatic color scheme. And, you know, you could use the paper just like I used and do a, so I think yellow is one of the harder colors in that pack to use. And look, I did a fairly good job. I used the lighter colors, like this is a more pastel look to it, whereas the blueberry bushel and the lovely lipstick is much darker. So this has got like a lighter feel to it. So I love that. And And look at, isn't that like pretty, the box that goes with it? And so I would just finish this box top off with one of the cakes and maybe one of the greetings, just like I did for the other boxes. But it's so pretty, isn't it? You know, and the note cards make it so easy. So you can definitely use it with colored ribbon as well. What do you think of that? I think it looks pretty cool to have the gingham gala paper also be a different way you can do this. So the same cutting guide, the same cake designs basically. So you can use this again once the gingham gala paper becomes available again. I'm going to post a photo of this either on Facebook or my blog, or maybe both, so you can see this one done with the gingham gala paper. So that is the class, and like I said, go check and see if that punch is still available. You can order it now. You can get one of my super cute tutorials. I have exclusive tutorials for customers, and this is my January one, but you can choose whatever one you want. This is a mini mailbox, and it holds Ghirardelli envelopes. So in this little envelope right here, there's a Ghirardelli square. So, and they fit right inside this little mailbox. Whenever you order from me, you can choose one of my orders. Your order just needs to be above $15. So just, that's 15, not 50. And you can get one of my cool tutorials. My tutorials have lots of photos, lots of, to show you how to do it step by step. So that's my January tutorial. So, but you can choose whatever one you want. I've got almost 60 tutorials to choose from. So that's a lot of different tutorials to choose from on my blog. So anyway, I'm going to just scroll up and have a look and see if there are any questions. I don't have any questions, so let me turn this around. Where's my little turning around button? Haha. All right. Well, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you have nice weather. I think we're actually going to have fairly decent weather for Boston in the winter. So I know we're going to be outside doing some walking, which I love to do. And I hope you guys get outside and get some fresh air as well, and get some crafting done. Check up to see if that punch is still available. It was this morning, but if it is available, grab it right away. You can either order it as a bundle or you can order it separately. If you want to do this though, you'll want both the punch and the stamp set to complete that. Okay guys, I will be back next week with another Facebook Live on Tuesday. So I will see you then. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.